It's the final race of the European season, and the last stop is at the citadel of speed, Monza, just outside of Milan for the Italian Grand Prix. Hello there, we have had a very wet start to race day here as Ferrari come home primed for a celebration. The drivers and constructors titles are already in the bag. Now Ferrari need to confirm Rubens Barrichello as runner-up to complete the perfect season. But a couple of warning shots are fired in the build-up to the Grand Prix. As all the teams test at Monza, Michael Schumacher's left flat out after crashing with a tyre problem at the 220-mile-an-hour pit straight. He says he's fine, but it's the 15th major accident in the 35-year-old's F1 career. Then, in pre-qualifying, Juan Pablo Montoya shatters the Monza record. He's the first man ever in the 119s. That's an incredible average speed of close to 163 miles an hour in the BMW Williams, the fastest single lap ever. In qualifying proper, the Ferraris run 9th and 10th. Barrichello is always strong here, on the podium for the last 3 years and the winner in 2002. He's very close to the limit. The Brazilian feels it's his best ever lap of Monza. Michael Schumacher's quickest through the first sector, but slow in the last after an uncharacteristic error at Parabolica. He's off the front row as he chases a record 5th victory round the Royal Park. The record-breaking Colombian Montoya goes last. This time he pushes too hard and makes mistakes. But 120.6 is still good enough for second place, but he's a full half a second slower than Barrichello. So we have an all-South American front row leading that charge to the first corner. Then the 7-times world champion and the lightning starter Alonso. Sato out-qualifies Button. Then Spa winner Raikkonen. Pitsonia qualifying 8th on his 24th birthday. Trulli's got a miserable record at his home race. Coulthard, the winner here in 97, makes the top 10. Webber's Jaguar in a Toyota Sandwich. Panis, F1's elder statesman at 38, is stepping down at the end of the season. Then Klein, Fisichella and Massa in the Saubers. It's a home race for Pantano and Bruni. Poor Baumgartner, he was taken out in Spa by Jenson Button and by Pantano's Jordan in Saturday practice here. It's 53 laps of Monza, the quickest circuit of them all. Here's the best of the Italian Grand Prix with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
That's Nick Heidfeld. He had to qualify yesterday in the spare car, but he switched back to his original race car, which is why he's starting with the pits. And Coulthard, top of your screens, David Coulthard has dived into the pits to put on slick tyres and presumably change his refuelling as well. The rest of the field coming round to form up on the grid. Can't see anybody else having dived into the pits. Coulthard rolling the dice then. Starting 10th place originally, David Coulthard. There you can see the gap on the grid where he was.
Apparently there's some problem fueling the car there of David Coulthard. They're not allowed to fuel it until the race is started, of course.
Absolutely. Okay, the anticipation builds, the excitement builds. Turn up the volume sound and enjoy as we go racing! Brilliant start by Barrichello. Look at Alonso fighting with Montoya. Montoya's left, Alonso in the middle. Alonso cuts out Schumacher. He's well and truly past a very cautious, you'd have to say, Juan Pablo Montoya. Schumacher down to 4th. Everybody's being very cautious. Schumacher has gained a position there, undoubtedly, in the chicane. He'll have to give that back to Montoya or face a penalty. Meanwhile, Raikkonen is on the attack. Schumacher is being very, very careful, and he lets those two cars go through. So Montoya jumps up, Raikkonen jumps up as well. And who's the next person that's going to be attacking Michael Schumacher? It's going to be the two BARs of Sato and Button.
And this is where the Bridgestones struggle, even after a safety car, as we saw in Spa, as Button crosses and makes a place in the chicane. Schumacher spins. Michael Schumacher spins. There's a Williams visit in the background there as well. Carnage then at the second chicane. They were super cautious into the first one and not quite enough of caution into the second chicane. Alonso leads the Grand Prix as Pitsonia recovers through the gravel trap.
Well, the computer's still showing Barrichello in the lead as the two BARs are side by side there going down towards the sky. We're looking at Alonso there with Montoya behind him. Schumacher has definitely spun. Jenson Button is a man on the move. Look at him attacking teammate Takuma Sato. There is Rubens Barrichello taking advantage in the early stages of the slippery conditions on those intermediate tyres. He leads the Grand Prix at Monza. Alonso 2nd, Montoya 3rd, Raikkonen 4th, Sato 5th, Michael Schumacher shown a 6 on the computer, but he seemed to be lower down as Olivier Panis retiring from the Grand Prix. He's had a terrible weekend with gearbox and engine problems, but His race only lasts one lap, and there you can see the top 8, and what a tremendous start by Felipe Massa, 16th on the grid. He is now up into 6th place.
Well, Ruben, sorry I said Alonso was in the lead, because Barrichello's way out front there, but by 7 whole seconds. Michael Schumacher back in 15th place, so Barrichello at the moment romping away.
Here's the start again.
And then Michael Schumacher then super cautious. Look, he's now back into 4th place. Alonso on the attack. It's Barrichello with the best tyres at this stage. He's got the confidence to go in. Look, doing pedestrian speed. Schumacher jumps across the second chicane, gained a place, but gave it back to Montoya immediately. On board with the Renault then. And one day he's going to be popped up in the air, flying in the sky, because he's always pulling that stunt on the at the start of the Grand Prix, because of the brilliant characteristics of that car away from the line. But it works out yet again for Alonso. And this then is Schumacher spinning out, and I think others then in sympathy following suit. Michael Schumacher is down in 14th place as we speak, as Montoya on a very strange line compromises himself, gets it out of shape, and Button takes him as if it's candy from a baby. And Montoya, I don't know why he was going so defensive into that corner. Button was nowhere near overtaking him.
No, he certainly wasn't going to try it, was he? He was quite a long way back. You can see it was still quite slippery all the way through that section. That's the section which will take the longest to dry out here this afternoon. Montoya lost momentum then through the Lesmo bends, and you can see that Raikkonen, who managed to keep his average speed up, is now right behind Montoya, who is building back up to speed. Teammates next year, of course, within McLaren, and has Raikkonen got the momentum to get past Montoya in the run down to Parabolica? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, Barrichello led by 6.6 seconds so far on this current lap. He's 2.1 seconds slower, and over the line they go. It's nearly 4 seconds by the end of the lap. Alonso took 4 seconds out of him, and no wonder he'll be past him on this lap. And Barrichello then, it hasn't worked. He hasn't got in to a sensible pit stop winner. Don't think he's out of the equation altogether today, but that seriously made his afternoon difficult.
Going to cost him 26 seconds to come in the pits and get back out again. He will return probably somewhere around Gianmaria Bruni in 11th place. So both Ferraris will be out of the points in the early stages of the Grand Prix, and a lot of work to do from here for the team which clinched the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship recently, and for whom this weekend was supposed to be a celebration party. At the moment, the man in the pound seats is Alonso. Button looks also very aggressive, 5 seconds behind the Frenchman, behind the Spaniard, as he comes up now to grab the lead off Rubens Barrichello. We cut away to look at the battle between, here we go, Alonso then for the lead in the Renault. It's candy from a baby, straight through into Ascari. Rubens Barrichello has to give way, and he will have to come into the pits, because that is the lead well and truly gone.
Yeah, it's like trying to nail jelly to the wall when you're driving on tyres that have gone off. The rubber, the heat is generated by the rubber moving around. As soon as those tread blocks start moving, you're struggling. This is Coulthard fighting with Michael Schumacher for 13th place, and we cut away just at the juicy bit. So I'll keep an eye on that one. We don't know how that ended up. Alonso does now lead the Grand Prix.
Ted Kravitz has news for us.
Rubens Barrichello comes into the pits. Those intermediate tyres are so worn down. He puts on the dries. He's about 6 laps too soon for his first stop. There he goes. What's the time on that? 6.9. That's not a bad stop, but he is seriously compromised. David Coulthard, while you're down there, might well have a problem at his next stop with his fuel flap. He couldn't open it when he was refueling in the pits.
And Michael Schumacher then moves up past Fisichella into 10th place. Interestingly, Rubens Barrichello, despite the stop, despite the blistered intermediate tyres, now back out and in front of Michael Schumacher. So damage limitation was done there by the Ferrari team. Barrichello compromised, but still in play.
Yeah, but of course he's taken fuel on, so he's going to go much deeper into the Grand Prix than Michael Schumacher, who has yet to come in and take on the first fuel load of the afternoon. So Barrichello, you'd have to say, looking very strong indeed. Your heart goes out to Felipe Massa, who's done a stunning job in the early part of the Grand Prix, got his nose knocked off. Here he is in the pits to change it, and all that good work undone. Massa pitting from 18th. And well, he's got a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, that's a replay of his teammate Fisichella being overtaken for 10th place by Michael Schumacher.
Yes, just nicely out of the slipstream. Got the faster car. probably better stability under braking.
The race leader pits then on lap 11, Fernando Alonso. So Jenson Button leads the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in the BAR Honda, with Juan Montoya right behind him, who has just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. He has closed to within half a second of Jenson Button. There he is. That's what half a second looks like at almost 200 miles an hour as Button comes down to the Variante Roger, the Roger chicane, the second chicane on this lap, and a real dogfight here in prospect between Jenson Button, Juan Montoya, and just behind them, Kimi Raikkonen.
Michael Schumacher does a 21.9. That's a 10th off the lap record in race conditions. That's how grippy and dry it is out there now, as Mark Webber pits from what was 5th place.
And that means that this is the perfect moment in this Grand Prix to be making a pit stop. The track has definitely come to fully now to the dry tyres. They're absolutely flying, and well, this is the moment to be doing it. So everybody that took the gamble on the dries at the start, that gamble has paid off handsomely for Button, for Montoya, for Raikkonen and Sato, and particularly for those Michelin runners.
Okay, that'll be Massa then passing somebody. That's Sato running extremely wide, didn't gain any time on that, but Baumgartner was penalised by 1 second in qualifying for using that apex, easy apex in turn 2 there. A crank of wing change, we don't know if it's up or down on the Jaguar, probably down I would imagine, if to go back to drier conditions, and Ted is down there.
And McLaren with a serious problem for Kimi Raikkonen. Steve Hallam, his engineer, is looking very worried. Here he comes into the pits. They've cleared a space for him in the garage. Oh, what a shame. Kimi Raikkonen in to retire. A lot of smoke coming out of the back of that car. Oh, a lot of smoke coming out of there. I wonder if that's heat, but the mechanics ready with fire extinguishers for the back of that engine. But another disappointing after the joy of Belgium. A terrible weekend for Kimi Raikkonen.
The 8th retirement from 15 Grand Prix for Kimi Raikkonen. And well, we know what that little momentary anger that Mark Arnold, his trainer, talked about in the build-up programme. He'll certainly be feeling that now as Pitsonia battles with Rubens Barrichello, takes the position. He's, of course, still yet to make a pit stop. The car very light. Rubens Barrichello full of fuel. Zonta into the pits there from 10th place in the Toyota.
So what's pivotal here, I think, Michael Schumacher's the fastest man on the track, but he's 27.4 seconds behind Jenson Button. Neither of them have stopped yet. Michael Schumacher had the spin, then he didn't have enough grip, although he's fastest man now. So Button and Montoya have a full pit stop in their pocket. So the Ferrari team have got a big job to do this afternoon if they're going to win this Grand Prix. Button pits from the lead at the end of lap 15.
Yep, Jenson Button comes into the pits. We're not seeing him, we're looking at the pit stop of Zolt Baumgartner. There is Jenson Button, and obviously that will drop him down. We'll be interested to see where he comes out. Be very close to this scrap here, I would fancy. Montoya takes the lead then on lap 15 from Sato. Raikkonen has retired from the Grand Prix. We're not watching Jenson Button stop, but we'll see him where he emerges. There he is, just in front of this ding-dong then, between Alonso and Michael Schumacher. That's Button, that's Michael Schumacher, takes the place from Fernando Alonso. Schumacher then up into 2nd place, because Montoya has been in the pits as well.
So pivotal there for Jenson Button. He managed, as we said, he got a pit stop in his pocket, he just got back out in front. So the big question now is how much further can Michael Schumacher go in this race? And it does rather tell a story of yesterday's qualifying, doesn't it? Michael Schumacher then has gone a long way into this race before needing fuel.
Certainly has. We speculated he might have been carrying fuel. We did see him make a mistake in the Parabolica, those of you watching with us, but fuel clearly part of the reason why Michael was slow. Button then has a heavy car, just had a pit stop, new tyres as well. Michael Schumacher in the sweet spot, the car is light, a stop is imminent, the tyres are well worn in. He's got to try and pass Jenson Button. He wants to attack and make as much space up as he can. Will he go for the lead, or is he going to make his pit stop? Is Ross Brawn going to bring him in, knowing that passing Button might be quite tricky in the current conditions? Button driving absolutely beautifully here this afternoon, and we've got lap traffic, both the Minardis there to get around.
And critically, Schumacher just makes it on the entry to Parabolica past the lap traffic. And will he pit this time? Will he peel off right? Yes, indeed he does. So steaming then into the pit lane.
And Louise is with Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah, Kimi, a fiery end to the Grand Prix. Big disappointment for our featured team.
Yeah, we had some problem with the engine, so I needed to stop.
What were the conditions like out there beforehand? How quickly did it dry out?
We're still a little bit wet, but it was okay.
Thanks, Kimi.
Kimi giving the team quite a lashing in the press, or reported to be anyway, the lack of reliability, and he'll be leaving the track another unhappy man.
So Michael Schumacher comes out behind Mark Webber there, you can see in the Jaguar, and Webber was in 10th place, so that puts Schumacher back 10th in this Grand Prix, around about 26 seconds behind the race leader, Jenson Button, at this stage of the Grand Prix. So Button at the front, Alonso, Montoya, Michael Schumacher has been into the pits as well. Fast and furious stuff here at Monza.
At ESSO, we've been delivering the fuels of the future for 100 years. So whatever ends up powering the cars of the future, chances are we're working on it today.
The new Renault Modus. Grow up? What for?
Once upon a time, there was a business that grew, and then grew bigger still, till one day they went global. Now they were sourcing materials from more than one country, synchronizing orders and shipments, and still keeping promises to customers. How did they manage all this? Well, they had a little help. UPS, your business synchronized.
This friend of yours, Mr. Moneytree, if he's so clever, why do you need help? I'd have kept it to myself.
Well, that's the benefit of wisdom, knowing you don't know everything. We're talking about a forest full of diversity. Some trees grow better on the shady side of the hill, some grow better in limey soil. You need people with specialist knowledge, not some jack of all trades who can't tell a maple from a magnolia.
Well, if it was me, they could keep their knowledge. You reap what you sow, and what I'm reaping, I'm keeping.
It's your call. My call is to the guy who helps boost the crop.
We have more business specialists in more industries than any other bank. Barclays, fluent in finance.
Some people have a lot of credit and debit cards, some have less. All your cards are being replaced by chip and PIN cards, but not at the same time. So make sure you know your PIN for all of them. You can change your 4-digit PIN number to make it easier to remember. Just make sure no one can guess it. Chip and PIN, safety in numbers.
No matter where, no TV program is ever made without them. Join me at the... TV's Naughtiest Blunders, Tuesday 9:45, ITV1.
Lap 18 of the 53-lap Italian Grand Prix. We've got, what, 3 guys who could win this Grand Prix this afternoon. Jenson Button going like a train at the front. He is 3 seconds in front of Fernando Alonso. Juan Montoya is in 3rd place. He's 1.7 seconds behind. And Rubens Barrichello, he could still win this Grand Prix as well. Ferrari, he is 4th, 3.4 seconds behind Juan Montoya. Then it's Giancarlo Fisichella in the Sauber, who's had a terrific start to the Grand Prix, but has yet to make his first pit stop. He's the only man yet to make a stop. And Takuma Sato is in 6th place in the BAR. David Coulthard 7th, Mark Webber 8th, ahead of Michael Schumacher, who's right up behind the Jaguar driver at the moment. But critically, Martin, Michael Schumacher 28.5 seconds behind race leader Jenson Button, and he's on an identical strategy, it seems.
Yes, you'd have to say it's a question of how far Michael can get up the pack today rather than can he win the race. I think there are 4 drivers in this actually. Button, Alonso, Montoya and Barrichello currently lapping around the same pace, 7.5 seconds adrift, the 4 of them. Fisichella's just behind in 5th but is yet to stop, so is a little bit out of sequence. Sato's 6th, going quite well but needs to pick up his pace if he wants to join and make it 5 potential winners, but still only 10.9 seconds, and that is Michael Schumacher trying to get up the inside of Mark Webber into the first Lesmo. Webber having absolutely none of it, and Michael Schumacher then his relentless pursuit of the leading pack. Remember, he spun on the first lap, didn't have enough grip on the dry tyres on a damp track, and really struggled, lost a lot of pace. Now he's coming back, but it's been held up behind Webber's Jaguar, and Webber just driving the wheels off that thing. Good stuff.
Certainly is. Certainly the first Lesmo, not a place you see many people trying to attempt an overtaking manoeuvre. A lot of people thinking, having won his 7th World Championship, Schumacher might not be taking too many risks this afternoon, but they don't know Michael Schumacher very well if they suggest that. There's Fisichella then, from 6th place in the Sauber, last of the contenders to make a pit stop. 8.4 for him, back out on track. This lap 20 out of the 53 laps here at Monza this afternoon. And really exciting start to the Grand Prix. We had rain this morning, a drying track, certainly damp in some places. This was one of the places, the first chicane, as Michael Schumacher now with acceleration of that Ferrari engine superior to the Jaguar. This is coming down to the area of the Curva Grande then, and into the second chicane.
Now Webber's got to stay left. He's got to make Michael go the long way round, and then parks it right in the middle of the racetrack. Nice stuff, but jumps across the chicane. Michael will get a good run out of there, and surely he'll now take the place. Webber just too busy watching Schumacher and braked a touch too late. He had the corner covered, and he really did the job twice and then lost out. And of course, just behind him is Pitzonia. That's for position 2. So this is 8th, 9th and 10th. Coulthard is 7th. He pitted at the end of the warm-up lap. We don't know how much fuel he put on the car. And will he go for a long run this afternoon to get the McLaren well into the points? We'll see where Fisichella fed back into the system as well. And there we go then. That is Webber having covered the bases on the way in, slow on the way out of the second chicane. And Michael Schumacher actually puts his hand up and says, thanks. I don't think Mark Webber intended to let him through.
Jenson Button then leading by 1.4. Montoya is second behind him, Barrichello as well. They're all on the same sort of pace at the moment. But, well, you'd have to say that nothing much to choose between them. David Coulthard, a man well worth watching as well. He's on a completely different strategy from the rest of them. He's in 6th place at the moment, 14 seconds behind the race leader. And he's on a one-stop strategy here this afternoon, which could be very interesting. Michael Schumacher, 11 seconds behind Coulthard, making no real impression into him. That last lap, half a second, but generally speaking, it's been about 11 seconds for the last few laps. So really intriguing stuff here at Monza.
Yes, all the key runners have got to stop one more time. Coulthard, for his first time in race conditions, he stopped at the end of the warm-up lap, took a penalty really effectively off the line. And but we've got 4 different chassis and engine combinations in the top 4, 2 different tyre manufacturers, and then nip and tuck on lap times. They're weaving around a little bit. Sometimes it's Button, then it's Alonso that's fastest. 4 seconds between the pair of them, the 4 of them, sorry. Sato managing to keep himself in touch, and Coulthard's got the gap down to 14.9 seconds now, and lapping faster than just about all of them. So he has got a chance of coming up into sort of the podium zone. Be a struggle to win it though from where he's at, but going very quickly. Coulthard pits then for his first stop of the afternoon.
Yep, this is it then. David Coulthard comes in from 6th place. Where will this drop him back to? There's a battle going on between Fisichella and Weber. Will he be anywhere near them as he comes out? Don't forget, he's taking a lot of fuel on here to take him right to the finish of the race. A long, long stop, 12 seconds.
Yes, and now, of course, he's got a very heavy car. He'll be heavier at this point in the Grand Prix than any of the other runners on two stock. So that'll slow him down, and probably 2-3 seconds longer taking the fuel on board. He needs a good clear run out of the pits. Clean coming up behind him. Can Coulthard keep in front of him, because that'll be crucial for him while his car's fat and while he gets back up to speed. He looks as if he did that. So Coulthard now got to drive for his life if he wants to score some solid points this afternoon.
Well, it's so close at the front here, with just a second between Button and Alonso, 1.5 between Button and Montoya, and just 3 seconds between Button and Barrichello in 4th place. It is definitely going to come down to who can go the furthest on the fuel, and you'd have to say Jenson Button, his first stop was on lap 14. That was a lap after Montoya's and 4 laps after Fernando Alonso. So we're not sure exactly how much fuel they all took on board. That's going to be absolutely crucial as to who comes in first and therefore who gets track position through the pit stops. Barrichello in.
He did, and Button in the 1:22s and faster than Alonso on that lap that we're watching. Barrichello in the pits for his second scheduled stop, and that's quite early really, isn't it? I thought it would be nearer sort of 32, 34 before we'd see Barrichello. Of course, remembering, correcting myself really, of course he had to pit very early last time round because of the he had the wrong tyres on for the track conditions.
As the Minardi guys, Italy's second team, getting ready for one of their 2 drivers.
Still only 2 retirements, James. The Raikkonen engine problems, Panis spinning off on the first lap. So good reliability again this afternoon on what is traditionally a tough old place on engines and brakes in particular.
Whoa, huge fire in the pits for Gianmaria Bruni. He was running in last place, and very, very quickly they get the fuel out. There was a spillage there from the fuel nozzle. It looks like they're going to try and get more fuel into it. That's something for these guys to think about. Their fuel stop is coming up next. They want to get him back out onto the racetrack. That was a flash fire, very quickly dealt with by the Minardi mechanics, and a bit of a debate going on about whether they're going to continue. The answer is no. Steering wheel comes out. That was pretty serious stuff down at the Minardi garage.
Yes, I don't think Bruni fancies it. I think he's I'm not going to go back out in that.